Hi everyone, welcome to Studio 14. I'm Kim Newcomer with the City of Fort Collins. Thanks for joining us today. Well, you might remember about a year ago, I had two gentlemen on this program to talk to us about street maintenance. And man, 2011 was a year for street maintenance. To give us an update on how it went and what we can expect this year, I've invited them back to the studio. I'd like to introduce Darren Moritz, and Darren is our Street Maintenance Program Manager. Darren, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
And of course, Larry Schneider, who is our Street Superintendent. Larry, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Kim. It's a pleasure to be here.
2011 was busy, a lot of work and a lot of, cones out there. So tell us a little bit of the highlights from last year.
We were excited last year, with the voters approving the Keep Fort Collins Great money. We basically doubled the program, so we were able to do twice as much work as we normally do. So last year we did about 32 miles of paving on streets.
Wow.
We covered quite a few major arterials. And this year I'm looking forward to the same thing, being able to take the money and resource it. There's a lot of work to be done out there yet, but I'm excited about it.
Absolutely. You mentioned Keep Fort Collins Great, Larry, which of course is the 0.85% sales tax increase, which was approved in 2010, but last year was the first year you guys had that money to actually use and put toward street maintenance. You said double the program. That's a huge, huge impact. Darren, how'd you guys even handle that? How could you even ramp up to get all that work done?
The effort was huge. We just got focused and we did a lot of coordination and we just got out of the gates quickly and just got to work. Fortunately, we had a pretty good season for weather, so we wrapped up the season. Last day we paved was Halloween, October 31st. So
wow,
it was quite a challenge, but we appreciate everybody's patience. We were definitely had a huge presence out there. One project you didn't mention was College Avenue. I wanted to point out was a huge project for the streets department. Yeah,
so College Avenue, there was a huge amount of work done literally through downtown, and you guys did that at night to sort of minimize impacts, but that wasn't the only major road, right? You did work on Riverside. Now I'm testing my own memory here, so I'm going to ask one of you to jump in here as I start to flounder. So Riverside.
Riverside, Horsetooth from College to Timberline. We did LeMay from Horsetooth to Harmony. We really tried to focus around the Harmony area because we have a project coming up this year, so we want to stay away from that area in 2012. So those were just a couple streets, but we did Linden Street. Riverside that you mentioned.
I mean, huge. Definitely, I noticed as just someone driving around, I noticed, more detours and more cones and more work being done. It makes a huge impact. So, tell me, we went from this street maintenance work to this street maintenance work, outside of just the visible results that we can see, how do we know we're making a positive impact, right? Is there a way to sort of measure?
Yeah, there's a way to measure. And I want to back up just a minute to talk about, because there's so much coordination that has to take place. And a lot of times people will say, well, why wasn't this piece of roadway done?
Right.
Well, there's pieces of roadway in the city that are kind of intertwined with the county, and then the state, which is College Avenue, that's the state highway which comes through the center of Fort Collins. There's a lot of coordination on our staff's part that has to take place so that we can make sure that we're working together. So if the county has a project planned, we want to be working with them. Right. If the state has projects planned, we want to be working with them so that we can work together on these projects to get them done.
Right, so that you're not letting them do work and then you come back a year later and sort of redo it or change it. It's much better to sort of have it all happen at the same time.
Then there's the coordination of utilities that has to take place. Other departments have projects, so there's a lot of prep work that has to take place before these projects even get off the ground. And so we look at, the first thing is taking a look at, okay, what streets are eligible to basically be on the program for this year. Right. So we have a software program that basically is going to take a look at all the streets in Fort Collins, and it's going to put all the parameters in and say, okay, these streets are ready for this treatment. Mm-hmm. These streets are ready for this treatment. So it could be arterials, collectors, residentials. So that's how we kind of select the streets, and then we put it together. So if we spit out some streets out of the program that say, okay, we're going to be working on, for example, let's just say West Drake.
Right.
And then utilities comes along and says, hey, we're going to put a water line in there next year, then we're not going to do that project.
Right.
Or if we find out that there's another project in the area that's going to take place, we're going to coordinate so that we don't impact the community and try to work together so that everything kind of goes smoothly throughout the summer.
And so that planning obviously starts, I mean, I'm sure it's already started for this year.
Correct, yeah. We actually start approximately 6 months out in front for the previous year, and we're consistently trying to streamline that and get farther out in advance. So yeah, the day that you see the crews out there, there's been a lot of effort and a lot of coordination and focus, getting bids, hiring contractors, getting workforce, and coordination. So that's not the first day of the project. The big important part is the upfront part to make it as smooth, like Larry spoke to. So
you said, you know, we look at what roads are eligible and then what treatment they need. So that to me says you do different things to different roads. So what are your options? Just paint it. It's like what I do to my siding. I know it needs to be replaced, but I just keep putting paint all over it.
Yeah, and you'll see paint out there. I'm going to have Darren talk about some of the treatments, but one of the things that really he's trying to put a lot of emphasis on is preventative maintenance too.
Right.
So I'm going to have Darren talk a little bit about the crack sealing program that he's implemented throughout the winter months.
Right, so that's happening now.
Yeah, that's happening right now. We actually, in addition to our 2 crews, we have 2 crack seal crews that are city crews. We've also put out the bid, and we have a contractor working for us. So at the beginning of the year, we started our crack seal program. So what Larry spoke to, there's a refocus. You've been hearing the words over the years, keep the good roads good.
Right.
So we have basically what we're trying to do with this new crack sealing program is we went back the last 10 years of our streets, which is approximately $80 million investment approximately. And what we're doing, these roads are in good condition. We're trying to protect the investment that we had. So we're going out there with these crews and we're blowing out the cracks, we're sealing the cracks. The #1 killer of the roadway, the #1 enemy is water infiltration.
Right. So when those cracks are present, it gets wet.
Yeah, and then you have the Colorado weather, the expansion and contraction, and then you have potholes, and that's when it starts costing you money. So we're trying to, in essence, protect it, get it out to the curb and gutter, much like the gutters of your roof, to get the water away from the pavement, to get the most life out of our pavement.
Well, sure, and I've heard the analogy, it's like a house, right? If you don't take care of your house and do sort of that regular upkeep, then a leak in the roof could turn into an entirely new roof, and we all know how expensive that can be.
Absolutely, it's routine maintenance, house, whether it's your vehicle.
Right.
And a lot of people struggle with that a little bit because they see a road that's falling apart, that's to the point of it's going to need to be totally reconstructed. Right. Then they'll see us working on some good roads next to it. And what Darren was referring to is that we're going to keep the good roads good, but we're also going to pick up a few of the failing roads every year when we do the program. So
how much does it I mean, relatively, maybe this isn't an unfair question, like how much does it cost to completely redo a road? So one that's failed, you just need to...
what we use, what we've determined is every dollar that you spend today down the road, if you let the road fall apart, I mean, everything has a life.
Right.
But what we're saying is it's $6 to $8 compared to the one. Okay. That number fluctuates a little bit, but that's what we're finding. So the investment up front, protecting the road, and just like with the car, your car, if you don't do your oil changes, if you just neglect it and don't do maintenance, and you just drive it into the ground, and you don't do anything else to it, what's going to happen?
Why are you looking at me like that? No. Well, okay, I remember I need to get my oil changed now. But
yeah, it's basic maintenance, terminology, and it's the best way, the most cost-effective way to maintain your pavements.
So let's talk about this year, because we talked about some of the major roads and major projects that happened last year. Again, the Keep Fort Collins Great dollars are part of a 10-year tax initiative. So you once again have that money to put into street maintenance. And so I assume it's going to be a really busy year this year as well.
It'll be really busy this year. Focus will be a little bit different because we're working around some of the projects like the Mason Corridor project that's taking place. So
Right.
we don't want to conflict with work that's going on there. We want to make sure that we're coordinating well with everybody that has
Sure.
work going on. So we're going to be probably in the outer areas of the city, and
Okay.
you're going to see us out there working on a lot of the arterials that are on the west side of town. We'll cover a couple of those for you, give you some examples of which ones that we're going to be covering. But one thing I want to remind people is that you can always go to our website, and
Okay.
we'll have it up on the website, and we'll keep you posted as we do the construction work, where we're at through the process constantly. And also I think we have tweets that we send out so that you can get information daily.
Right. Yeah, that's really important because for those folks who are, trying to access their neighborhoods and their homes and whatnot, it's always nice to know about those detours ahead of time for sure. Yeah. So you said some work on the west side, and I'm sure you're bouncing around, but any other sort of major roads or major projects that are going to be a part of this summer's schedule?
One thing Larry mentioned was the BRT, but we also want to speak to, it's actually considered a maintenance project. It's going through the Capitol's engineering department. Is Harmony Road from College to Timberline.
Okay.
So we're trying to stay away from that corridor as well, so that we're not obstructing and the detours.
Okay, so wait, now I got myself confused. So I know that the Mason Corridor project includes building the MAX, the Bus Rapid Transit, which is going to have some major impacts, traffic impacts on Mason Street, in particular downtown. But what I'm hearing you say is that there's also a lot of work from a different entity out on Harmony?
Harmony Road from College, where they left off Chip the previous year.
Right.
They're going from College, where they stopped, and they're taking it approximately to the railroad tracks at Timberline.
Okay. So that's not street maintenance. That's sort of a...
It's through the engineering department.
Okay, so capital project.
Yeah, and there's a dedicated fund.
Right.
That money was basically when we took the road over from the state, they gave us money, and we're using that money to do the maintenance on that portion of the street. But some of the roads, and Darren can talk about these, but a lot of the projects we're coordinating, even on the west side of town, with the county. We're looking at areas out on West Vine. We've been looking at LaPorte Avenue, but we've run into some problems there because we've got some stormwater work that has to take place, and we definitely know that road needs repair.
Right.
We're well aware of that, and our preference would be to get in there and do the work, but because of those kind of projects, we've got to wait till they get their underground utilities in.
Right. So, the street maintenance program isn't officially, let me check this. So filling potholes, is that officially part of the street maintenance program, or is that something separate?
It's still, right now, it's a one-stop shop. It's housed in the same department, streets department, but as far as budgeting, we call it street maintenance. That's the routine, the minor potholing, minor patching, grading, things like that. And the street maintenance program, the easiest way to look at it is it's more project level, the bigger projects.
Okay.
I can fill you in on some of the projects that are coming up. So we were talking about the outskirts. So Prospect Road we're going to be doing from Overland Trail to Taft Hill Road. So that's on the very west side of town. Then another big one that we have is Trilby Road. We're going to take that from approximately Shield Street, where the railroad tracks are, basically east of Shields. And we're going to we're actually talking to CDOT. There potentially could be maybe some work that's done in the intersection of Trilby and College Avenue. That's that section we do not maintain.
As I say, so is that Trilby and College? Is that the state?
That's the state, and we actually, the city of Fort Collins does not maintain that. But that's another example of we're in collaboration with these other entities. But ultimately, we're going to take Trilby. Our part is from College over to Transfort, Portner Road, and the rest of Trilby's in pretty good shape. So that will be one of the last pieces. Another one, kind of in the outskirts, is Kechter, is Ziegler Road. It's going to go from the roundabout at Kechter north to Harmony. And not to list everyone, but another big one that comes to mind is Drake Road from Meadowlark Avenue. Last year we did a reconstruction right in front of the vet clinic over there at CSU.
Okay, right.
So we're going to pick up from there, and we're going to head west to Dunbar Avenue, where there's a switch in pavement, concrete pavement.
You have hit on, I believe, every stretch of road that I commonly travel, which I feel like we maybe need to have an offline conversation.
Well, we want to ensure that your commute is
so smooth, though, when it's done.
And we want to, Darren, let's add one more, because a lot of shoppers, JFK, we're going to be doing some work on JFK, and that's
another pretty busy road.
If you've been on it, it's a busy road, and it definitely is needing some work.
Yeah.
So think of it this way, and this is what we ask everybody: short-term inconvenience for long-term impact. We get out there, we get it done, we make it smooth, we ensure that your commute is as functional as possible, and then we go away, and then it's all there
good
for you. It's all good.
All right, I'll try to remember that.
Okay. And I think if you think back last year, a lot of these roads we were in and out. I mean, I have to say, I think things went very smoothly. It didn't take us long. Once we got a schedule in place, and that's why I was saying on the website, we'll keep that posted, but we'd get on a major arterial or in a neighborhood, we're in and we try to get right back out.
Right.
So we don't want to inconvenience you like all summer long.
That just made me laugh. All right, the website is fcgov.com/streets, and definitely the best place for information. I think you guys already have a preliminary map of what you expect to get done in 2012.
Actually, it's right now. Currently, it's not posted on the website. We're hoping to have it up Friday the 23rd.
Okay.
In approximately a week and a half. So right now, what we're doing is we're coordinating with the utilities. We're trying to make our last choices, so that we can ensure that we get the most accurate map that we can on the website. So I would say we're about 95%, 90% complete on that.
That's great. Yeah, and I know in the past you guys have reached out to the community in other ways too, whether that be, as you said, social media or the website, or even just flyers.
Door hangers.
Yeah.
Door hangers.
And if anyone ever has any questions, give the Streets Department a call. We're always willing to answer questions. Any questions at all regarding your street? Might be in your neighborhood, it might be in front of a business. Call us.
Great. So I have to ask, and I think we talked a little bit about this last year, and I think this is part of the street maintenance program, so forgive my foggy memory, but one of the things I always appreciate about your operation is there's always, you're always looking for ways to do things a little bit, either quicker and cheaper or in a more environmentally friendly way. I think about the salt storage, which is an award-winning facility. And I also think about the hot in place
recycling.
Yeah. So tell us about that, because I think that's cool.
Yeah. Well, I did it last year. Larry, would you like to do that?
It's like the most difficult explanation, but it's
okay.
Well, no, go ahead.
Okay,
let's say
you don't want me to try and explain this. Let's put it that way.
What we call the operation, we call it a train.
Oh.
Because it looks like a train moving down the street.
Yeah, it's huge.
It is. It's a long train that's moving down the street, and it's a great process. It's quick, it's fast, and the thing that I really like about it is the quality of the ride when it's done. You get a really nice product at the end, but it's basically taking the old hot mix and kind of mixing in some new with some rejuvenators, kind of like making it juicier so it lasts longer, and you get a really good product at the end.
Right, so it actually like pulls up the road.
Right.
This is my engineering terms. You guys are going to cringe when I do this, right?
Go
Pulls
ahead.
up the road, smashes it all up, mixes in some new material, and lays it back down.
Right.
All in one pass.
Right.
Exactly. And the advantages is that you don't export the material, you don't pick the material up, and you don't haul it away. You're actually keeping it in place. And basically what we're doing is adding 1.25 inches approximately of a new surface. So it's kind of a blend. It's just one of the treatments that we find is very cost effective, and like Larry said, it makes the road smooth, rejuvenates the roadway, and it also gives us an opportunity to do some maintenance, fix the manholes,
it's very
like
cool.
that.
It's
And it's quick.
It's a fast moving process.
Yeah. One of the other operations I know that is out of the streets department, not part of the street maintenance program, but is sweeping. And, that's another, what I just think so interesting, another I don't know, city service that you don't necessarily think has wide-ranging impacts. You know, everyone just likes clean streets, but there's actually some real environmental and stormwater benefits to frequent sweeping.
There are, and we track that because it's important to know what we're keeping out of the storm sewer system. That could flow into potentially the streams,
right,
or little creeks throughout the city of Fort Collins. We sweep all residentials 4 times a year.
Okay.
And we did run a little bit of a problem in October because we do our fall leaf pickup program.
Right.
And we had the major snowstorm that came in, which we got impacted by tree branches. So that kind of shut us down sweeping. So we've been really coordinating with the forestry department when they have to trim trees in neighborhoods or arterials,
right,
while we're right behind them because we have to block those streets off, trying to clean up the debris and anything that's left along the curb.
Well, you know, you just bring up a good point. We probably shouldn't even end this program without talking about that October snowstorm and what it did to our poor Fort Collins trees. Your group was instrumental in responding to that and getting all of that cleaned up. Tell us a little bit about the whole process and what that took. Yeah,
that was a major undertaking. I mean, the storm started out, we were hoping that we wouldn't see this type of end result, but basically we ended up with some really, really heavy, wet snow.
Right.
The leaves weren't off the trees yet. Obviously, they were too heavy and started snapping tree branches. In some cases, the whole trees went over.
Right. Everywhere, right? I mean, I don't know if you have a tonnage. I mean, it was tens upon tens of thousands.
I do, and it is amazing. Actually, cubic yards of material.
Cubic yards. That's how you
familiar with that. Yeah. So we were probably somewhere around 200,000 cubic yards of material when we got done with all the tree branches. It was a major undertaking for us, but what I'd like to say is that, you know, living in a great city like Fort Collins, we were one of very few cities that actually allowed the citizens to throw any broken branches into the street, and then
right,
we coordinated that to pick that up. And while we were coordinating, saying we would be in your area at a certain time, we had a couple of storms in there too.
Oh, that's right. So we had some snow plowing in between.
So but we stayed pretty close to our schedule, and we got done when we were about 2 weeks over because of the storms.
Right.
But in reality, it was a major undertaking, and everybody in the community pitched in. They got the branches out in the street. The crews picked them up. We brought in a lot of contractors to help us out.
Sure.
And all these tree branches that we picked up, we're going to be grinding those up, and we're giving them back to the community here. We're going to have a big, kind of, I guess you say, a celebration. So we'll be working with
mulch party.
Mulch party, working with you when we're ready to do that.
Yeah.
That's probably going to take place sometime, I would think, around May.
Right. Gardening season.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's one of the coolest things about that. Not only was it the service of getting all of those branches, because I think everyone can relate. I mean, they were so big. I thought, there's no way I'm hauling these anywhere. So great to have that service of people, of crews coming by and picking up the branches, but even better to get it back in spring to do some gardening. So
yes,
congratulations. That was a huge undertaking. And Darren, I know you were involved with that. And I can remember the big maps of like, how are we going to get all of this done in a timely manner? It was really amazing. So very cool. All right, guys. Well, I think we're just about out of time. One more reminder for everybody, fcgov.com/streets. We'll have some good detailed information up there soon, but I think it's a good website to just bookmark on your browser and make sure you check it every once in a while to see what's going on. It's going to be another busy year. So I won't see Darren again, I think, until you resurface in November. You'll just be working all the time, but
maybe the same the
this time next year.
Yep. Hope you have a great year.
We'll see you again in 2013. Well, Darren and Larry, thank you both.
Thank you for having us here, and it's a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time on Studio 14.